to Chair Chats. Today we have Drew Beaty with Cronkite Homes. Drew, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell me a little about yourself and how you got started with Cronkite Homes.
I have been in sales for a very long time, and part of that just kind of got me into a conversation with Mike Cronkite himself, and he was wanting to bring sales in-house.
Cool.
And I told him I don't sell houses, I don't do real estate, and he's like, no man, I think it'll work. And I was like, you know what, I agree, let's make this happen. And so ipso facto, 2 years ago, we brought sales in-house at Cronkite Homes, and I got licensed as an agent to start the whole process of real estate.
So Cronkite is just building, but then there's also the real estate side. But how big is the organization as a whole?
As a whole, so our goal is to get to where we're selling well over 200 homes a year. Our goal is, with our 5-year goal, is to get to 500 homes a year. Right now we've got about 33 employees, and so of that including office staff as well as our field staff. So we have superintendents who oversee the build, and we've got countless trade partners that are always making sure to get the job done for us on time, and fantastic process. But so like last year we sold 125 homes. The plan for this year is to get our sales up into the 190, almost 200 mark, and very excited about what that is for us and for what it means for the communities that we're building in. So we focus on first-time home buyers, more affordable homes, instead of trying to hit that semi-custom or higher mark. We really focus on how can we make a home that much more attainable for more people.
That's awesome. And you're working on different model homes as well of what that looks like. So what are the different options that they can get with a Cronkite home? So
yeah, and that's one of the big things that we're trying to tackle, is being able to say, hey, what does it mean to get into home ownership, and what are those next steps? So this year we're releasing 2-story plans that are on much smaller lot sizes, because land cost is just continuously going up. And so how do we reduce the cost to get into a home, reduce the amount of land that you have to pay for in the process? And so we're working diligently on that. We've got several communities where we're working to even get the lot sizes reduced in order to accommodate and bring those prices down. But we still operate very heavily, as the Midwest does, within the ranch, single-story homes. And so a lot of 2-car garage and 3-car garage options. And but we're still looking at all the different options. We now have some duplexes and other things that we're bringing out as well. So definitely keeping it a wide mix. And we can go. We have communities that run from our opening price point all the way to what we would consider almost a custom home. Okay. So we do a couple semi-custom, because the thought is, if we can get somebody into their first home, then within a few years, if they're ready to move up and they had a great experience with us, then they're ready to move into their next Cronkite home, and then you go beyond that. So my hope and dream is to see somebody 15 years down the road, having always lived in a Cronkite home and having it been a great experience for them, to finally be able to afford a semi-custom or custom home of their dreams.
I love that you're trying to make it more affordable for people, because as right now, especially with the market, interest rates and prices, it's pricing people out of even buying their first time home. So having that option available to them is huge.
Right. Well, and that's one of the big keys. I've had several lenders come to me like, man, our thought is that the opening price point for a new home is going to be $300,000, and that's going to be it. Like that's the cost to enter for a new home. And like, no, we're actively fighting that trend. Yeah. And so while it is getting more and more expensive to build, we're trying to find ways to bring that down. So to that point, we have plans now where we're starting in the 190s. And so really focusing on making it affordable, making that renting option something that you choose to do, not something you have to do. Yeah.
Where are all of your communities located at?
We are all over Southwest Missouri. So we go all the way out to Monette. We have Aurora, Republic, we're doing quite a bit of building in, and will for the next few years at least. We're actually breaking ground in Rogersville, currently working in Nixa, and have recently purchased more land, and already am currently working in Ozark.
That's amazing. Yeah. And with the lack of inventory, and with builders being down in the number of homes that we can be built, what are you looking at doing in increasing your production?
So we're constantly looking to grow the team. We've broken out to 2 separate build units right now. So Within each unit, we have superintendents who cover certain aspects of that build. And so as we do that, we can have a smaller team overseeing a larger amount of production. And so, we've broken the build into 3 major steps. And so we have superintendents over the initial break ground and foundation work through framing. So once the roof goes on, then they hand that off to another team who then oversees and controls everything for all of the infill. And once you get there, all the final details, the final cleans, the carpet going in and all that, we have a third team that comes in and finishes the build. And so as we do that, it's how many more can we do? So on average, we start 4 homes a week.
Wow.
The plan is to get to 8.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's and it's on an even step. You can watch it, and it's a 16 to 20 week process from we break ground, and then 16 to 20 weeks later, you've got a finished home that we can close and you can move into.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So then, what does your role look like, being on the real estate side and on the building production side? What is that?
Well, so yeah, I wear a lot of hats, and the real estate side is very much I call it simple, but calling real estate simple is a little bit of an overstatement.
Yep.
But it is very much we do cover all of our listings, and so that's one of the key reasons why I even stepped into that realm. But then we also have new home consultants who are there to assist in the process of selecting your home, your finishes. And then also just kind of helping people and other agents get through the community and really understand what we have available and how we can get them into a home. When you step away from that side of it, it's the planning. And so a lot of what I do is I work on the marketing aspects. We have a fantastic marketing team member, Kelsey, love her to death. And so we're able to really look at how do we project the images of our homes and what are we trying to do within every community. And so being able to really put a picture around what we're selling rather than just be us just producing homes and letting those do the work for us. We're trying to create a story. We have website 3.0 is actually going to be launching here shortly.
Yay, that's exciting.
So yeah, we did enough Band-Aid patches on the old version and we're like, we just need to do it. And so we've got a whole new website coming out where it's going to be more immersive and you can dive into more about our plans. But then we're always working on our messaging on social media and stepping out. I do a lot now with Color 10. So we've got some great spots there, and we've got a great promotion coming up this summer.
Yay.
I'm not going to tip my hat too much to it, but it's going to be some really good footage. I'm really excited about it. And so really, and that's just a small part of the marketing, also diving into the product mix. So I get to work hand in hand with our drafting team as to understanding what's working, what's not working, taking feedback from sales into okay, what do we need to change on our layouts. One of the coolest things is this new project with our 2-story plans. We've been able to take the concepts of how we've been able to find those cost improvements, and we've been able to share that into our existing plans.
Oh, that's
and
neat.
So some of the prices that you see that we've actually started reducing, a lot of it's because we've actually been able to find cost savings.
Wow.
And so instead of us just being like, oh man, we're going to make a larger margin on the house, we're actually saying, hey, we're already making the margin that we need to make. Let's go ahead and reduce this down and make these homes more affordable, more attainable.
Which stays in line with what your messaging is all about.
It's perfectly in line with that, which is the coolest part. And having a team of people that make that happen, I can't take all the credit for it. We've got financing, we've got production, we've got purchasing. They're all working together. And so that's where a lot of it is. I spend hours a week in meetings with all of those team members to truly understand, okay, if we make this change, what does it do, to purchasing? What do we have to adjust, and how much do we have to purchase at a time to make this cost a reality, and how do we get these things to work? It's really exciting.
When you were licensed, that was right when you started at KW, correct?
Yes.
So KW is technically all you've ever known.
Absolutely.
So how do you think KW has transformed the way you think about real estate and the way Cronkite operates?
Well, that's a twofold thing. So really, when we were looking at where we wanted to hang our hats for a brokerage, we obviously had a lot of different conversations, and it's not anybody that didn't want to have us join because they're like, oh man, we know what you produce already. They're like, come on in. What really struck us, and I've said this as many times as I could, scream it from the rooftop, what struck us the most about our conversations at Keller Williams was not how much are you going to do, and here's your split, or here's how much you're paying out. It was, how can we help make that happen, and what can we do to make it better? Like, how can we help you? And so that was a huge statement for both me. I had Mike Cronkite with me on that one, and hearing that, say, okay, like this is a completely different aspect of it. It's not just the transactional side.
Yeah.
It's how can we partner with someone who can help us in this. I would say being with Keller Williams has been I don't see us going somewhere else because of the fact of what we've gotten as far as relationships, as well as just a different mindset. The different trainings that we've had, family reunion was ridiculous.
So amazing.
I loved it. Put me in touch with some amazing people who are both in the world that I'm in, as well as people who, work through those transactions in the same world as well. Great conversations that are still happening today. And but KW gives a different take on things, to where it's not just about an individual just trying to literally just go out and be a lone wolf.
Yeah.
It's, here's what's working, here's how you can make it happen. Last year Q3 and Q4 were not pretty, right? When interest rates just shot back up to, let's just say they shot back up to normal.
Yeah. Yep,
but everybody
exactly.
just hit the brakes. Having somewhere to go and say, okay, well, just listing a house isn't cutting it, right? And we went from a world where it was like, you just have a listing and then you own the market, everybody wants to come and buy it, to, I've got all these listings and what do I need to do? How do we need to really start moving? And it's really helped us shape how we bring on our new home consultants. So when we bring on a new sales agent to the team, one, absolutely get them licensed and have them be a functioning member of the team, but also helps them to rethink what they're doing when they're reaching out. So it also gives them great perspective, because we do work with a lot of agents purposefully.
Yeah.
At no point in time do we ever say, no, we want all foot traffic. It happens, but we don't call for it, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where we want to help as many agents win as possible, while helping as many potential home buyers get into a new home, rather than something that's just a project-ridden issue for them.
Yeah. One of the really cool things that I've noticed about you is, one, you're always educating yourself, whether it's here locally or you're going to the building conventions or you're going to a family reunion, but you're also educating other agents, because truly that's your business partners within it. Like,
Absolutely.
you want to build that relationship so they come buy a Cronkite home. And I think that's what has been really cool to see, is that agents, regardless of whatever house they buy, you're like, I'll be a resource for you.
Right.
And that's really neat to see.
And I love getting to be there. Just in this year, stepping into the ALC, and we're still working on making it really a big thing. But the New Homes Committee, I've had conversations and opportunities to talk about what it means to buy a new home and the different things to be aware of, whether it's warranties or just what to expect during the process of a new build. And really, to be honest with you, I'm excited for anybody regardless of which house they buy. Now, I want it to be more Cronkite homes than any other
Obviously,
home.
yeah.
It's just an expectation. But the reality is, I love seeing people get into that process, and I see the value in new homes, and as much of a resource as I can be, and that's the best part. And so, when we went to the International Builders Show, I got to sit down with some guys who have been doing it for 20, 30 years, and they've been rock stars the whole time. And I will tell you that every single one of them sat down with me and said, you've got to partner with your agents. They are your main source of communication, opportunity, and they are going to have the best, how would I put this? They're going to have the best communication with your future clients. And so they're like, don't ever walk away from that, maintain it. And so we kind of fill them in on some of the stuff that we do, and they're like, that's legitimately exactly all you need to do.
Yeah,
So.
which is a really opposite perspective of when you talk to other potential real estates in the industry, where it's a very scarcity mindset. You're
Right.
thinking from very abundance. Like,
Right.
the more relationships I can build with these agents, the more it's going to help build our business.
Absolutely.
And that's a connecting point that isn't really connected a lot of the times, which is really cool.
Right.
So what are you projecting as far as what's going to happen in the industry, home building, in the next few years?
Well, the next few years are going to be interesting. And to say it would be A walk in the park, definitely not.
Yeah.
Depends on which park you're going to, and so it could be a little dangerous. But there's nothing but upside, and I truly believe that. And I think your builders who are focusing on the larger homes, who have had consistent clientele, have been able to push their home builds out, regardless of the timelines or anything, they're going to see a reduction, because I don't see anything getting less expensive.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things. Everybody keeps saying, I'm going to wait until home prices drop. They're all going to start coming down, right?
I want the 2 to 3% interest rates again. You're like,
exactly.
Good luck.
Yeah, and what did Gary say? He's like, you're not going to see that in your lifetime.
Never. Yeah.
And I thought that was a huge statement, but a very real statement, right? And having that expectation of like, no, it's not going to get dramatically better. But where I'm positive is the steps that we're taking to make a more affordable product mix. I truly believe that your cities and planning and development are going to start seeing, okay, in order for us to expand our own city, we need to start looking at these other alternatives to housing. I know, especially in Southwest Missouri, it's very much like, no, everybody needs a good-sized lot. They got to have land, and that's important. And it is. I want to get people there. Like, it still needs to be an option. It still needs to be something that's there. But we need to get them there the right way. And the only way is to start. So you've got these folks who are stuck in a rental situation, maybe a house, maybe an apartment, but they feel stuck. And the better we can answer that, the better we can get somebody into the equity building, generational wealth building opportunity of owning a home. That's where it really starts to take off. And as we focus on making that a reality, especially in this market, I mean, it's crazy to think that we are fighting to get ourselves back to prices that we were selling pre-pandemic.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And so, because a lot of houses, I can't even build a house for what we were selling them for. Like, what we sold them out the door done for, I can't, those prices don't even reflect our cost to build a lot of homes right now. And but to say that we're actually finding different ways and different plans to get us closer to those prices is just getting people's mindsets back into, I can do this, I can make it happen. And I think so for us, we're excited. And I know when we went to the International Builder Show, there's a lot of hesitation, and a lot of the builder sentiment for the last few months has been declining. I think, what did they say, for the last 6 months, the builders, emotional context to the build has dropped like 30%.
Really? Wow.
And the same thing goes for permits. So a big determiner for how many new homes you're going to have is how many permits are getting pulled. And what we're seeing is an influx of new homes finishing that are remainders from the previous year, but you're not seeing an equal amount of permits getting pulled.
That's interesting.
And so the amount of new homes is actually reducing, and we're going to see this drop, which coincides with everybody not wanting to sell because they've got their 2 to 3% interest rate, whereas the people who are prepared and continuously looking to grow and expand are going to have a great opportunity to make it happen for more folks who are ready. I think the market is already seeing a high demand for the homes that we have. We already have a low quantity. At least, all I'm going to say is at least for the next year, we're very excited about where that's going to set us up for in the coming year, and really just read it from there.
How do you keep you and your team motivated, though, to keep pushing forward? Because they can hear outside news perspectives, you can see the market changing, interest rates, maybe costs increasing. How do you just say, let's keep going forward?
It takes a lot of different forms of motivation. Really, one of the big things is getting to see people move into our houses. We take a point and a pride in our orientation tour where it's literally us walking someone through their home and just basically saying, hey, don't forget your air filters after the first month, change them out, and then every 3 months, right? Or going through, hey, this is your thermostat, please don't leave it on, leave it to auto. It's the little things, and they can laugh about it, and it's like, oh wait, but no, it's like, this is my house, this is mine. And but seeing that excitement, like, so this is before they actually close on the house. We don't have a whole team waiting for them at the closing table. We let them have their space for that. But so we have the time to walk them through that, and then being able to relay to the production team, guys, had a new couple come through. This is their first house. They were beyond excited, right? Getting to see that and relay it to the team helps keep everybody positive and motivated to do what they're doing. But then being aware. So a lot of the stuff, like you said, constantly learning, but then also constantly being on top of the market. Being able to communicate to everybody. It's like, hey, you may be seeing this in the news, but here's the actual facts.
Yep.
Here's the stats and numbers. Some of the great stuff that we got from Family Reunion about, the multi-year trends and where we saw the big decline in building. And, I got to sit through Barry Habib, which the guy's insane as far as how he views things and can call stuff out. But getting to sit down and listen to him go through those exact same numbers and put his expectation and twist and how he dives into those numbers, I was able to take that back to the guys in production even and say, guys, look, like we have at least a 5-year window in which we have no reason to pump the brakes. Like what we have in front of us is there's no reason for us to change our model. In fact, we should expand and grow. And by the end of these next 2 years, if you don't have twice as many guys sitting next to you, we haven't done it right. And for them to understand that we have the confidence and the future insight to that, then it's pretty cool.
That's really great that you're able to educate not only the people that are buying your homes, but also people on your team of saying this is why we're doing it. And it all ties back into what it seems like is your mission to help people get into home ownership, which I absolutely love. And I think back when I bought my first house of like what I bought it for then, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how could I even think at 22 I could buy a house at that point?
Yeah.
So it's so great that you're able to say, like, we are getting closer and closer, but moving back. We're not trying to increase it on you. We're trying to move it back so you feel it's attainable to do that.
Yeah. And that's the most exciting part is being able to say, like, hey, we have a purposeful intent behind what we're doing. It's not just, hey, we're going to pump a bunch of houses out.
Yeah.
It's, we're going to create homes that create an opportunity. And that being a part of that is really what drew me in to the opportunity in the first place. Because when Mike was like, hey man, I think this is a great idea, I was like, dude, I don't sell houses. I don't do this, right? I was selling power tools before that. I mean, power tools and houses, they do not correlate.
I mean, one helps build the other, but still,
right,
not goes hand in hand.
But I was like, I don't know the first thing about this. And he's like, no man, we can make it happen. And I was like, okay. And, literally drove through some communities with him, and he's like, this is why we did this, and we changed to this. We were testing that. And understanding that each one of those was like, how can we do this and how can we make it more attainable? And it was super cool to be a part of that. But then also to know that that's what we carry through on all of our decisions it's just like massively mind-numbing.
So do you think there's anything or maybe one thing that sets Cronkite Homes apart from the other builders here locally?
Oh gosh, I don't know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I love everybody in the market.
Yeah.
Guys outside of the market, they're all way too big. There's no reason for them to come into this area. But all that aside, really, at Cronkite we have a we care attitude, and not to say that everybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people come in like, well, I'm looking down the street at this house. Why shouldn't I buy it? I was like, well. The real question is like, does it meet your needs? I was like, is it getting you what you want in a home, and is it so dramatically different than what we have to offer?
Yeah.
And so I'm more than happy to have those conversations with folks, and you can get down to splitting hairs of like, well, this is how they do their trim.
Yeah.
This is how we do ours. Nobody cares. They really don't. At the end of the day, when they're getting walked through a home and they understand that you are actually genuinely concerned about meeting their needs rather than just getting them into a house. It's not about more numbers. It's not about that one extra closing for the month. They happen when you're focusing on the right thing.
Yeah.
And really, so that's honestly what I feel like sets us apart is being able to say, yes, we want to sell a bunch of homes. We have goals to sell 500 homes a year or better, but that's a result of us taking the time to do the right thing first. And so that's one of the big things. We have this expectation of putting the opportunity first, putting the buyer's needs in the forefront, and to the point where that's our sales process. It's like, hey, these are the top 3 things about us. We've got a 10-year warranty. We've got an amazing build time, and we have a very thorough process that we go through at the end of every build that you get to be a part of. And is that something that brought you in today? And 9 times out of 10, it's a no.
Yeah.
And really, it's like, hey, these are the cool things about us. We just want you to know that. But then it's like, okay, well, what brought you in? And well, we need this because of that, and understanding what the need is, and going, 1 to 2, even 3 layers deep on
Yeah.
what that need actually is, and being able to meet that. That's the more important part.
That's awesome. What finishing trends are you seeing in homes nowadays?
Oh man, so we are exiting the grays.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
What's
know.
next then?
It's natural.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I have more people asking for the wood tones, natural wood tones, than we do the grays. Now, gray still has a place.
Yep.
A lot of people still buy it, and I will tell you that the trend of white cabinets is also something that we're seeing less people ask for.
Interesting. Okay.
That used to be, man, if you can get me a white cabinet,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And it used to be a premium thing. And we've been able to negotiate with our partners, and we were able to get to be like an everyday thing. The moment we get it negotiated to be an everyday thing,
On to the next trend.
yeah, nobody really wants it. And so it's like, oh, awesome. I just fought to get this to be the same price so it didn't cost you more. And now you don't even want it. But it's it's really cool though, because we're able to adjust and make those minor changes. We do keep a small portfolio of options, and so as we moved into this year, one of our main goals was to make it where people could pick their lot, pick their plan, and pick their finishes.
Wow.
And because we had to move away from that because production demands were just constantly churning last year, and costs kept just constantly creeping up. And so while we had that, it was like, okay, well we're gonna have to put our foot down and say, this is what we're going to build, this is what we can build, and that's, we were just stuck there. So we were a spec home builder, which isn't as exciting.
Yeah.
But it is still meeting a needs. We're able to kind of like say, hey, these are the ones that we have, which one's the best of these for you? But now we're able to say, okay, we have these options, like which one do you think fits you the best? And then once that one fits you, like what kind of finishes would make it you? Like how can this home, like when you walk in, do you want this natural, what is it? I think it's hickory hollow. It's like a nice natural maple finish. Or do you want the lumberyard, which is like that real rough looking gray that's like multi-tone and stuff. And it's great to see people like really dive in and choose those things.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
That's like the best part about if you're buying a new build, that you get to pick the touches.
Yeah.
So you get to customize it too, which is awesome.
Exactly. And so being able to say like, yeah, I want this house. Oh, and by the way, I want those floors and I want this countertop. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah.
And you get to see so many different styles, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think that this would go together and actually works. Great, I can give this to somebody else too.
And I can tell you from the neighborhoods that we sell, the electric mowers they're not going to last long. I just don't see it. The yards that have the electric mowers are not the nice ones.
Oh.
Just throwing it out there. Just gonna say, we did a competition last year in one of our communities. Like, hey, we're just gonna throw it out there. We're gonna just judge everybody's yard, and whoever has the prettiest yard is gonna win. And we had like a cobalt, giveaway and other things with Lowe's that we were doing. And I will tell you that every single yard was the gas powered one.
Oh man!
It was very unique because we offered them like an electric blower, and they're like, yeah, we don't want that. We're like, okay, cool, all right, so noted. No. Battery operated is okay for some, but apparently not for actual like home ownership. But
we'll
we'll figure those things out. Yeah.
Is there anything else we should know about Cronkite Homes?
There's everything you should know about Cronkite Homes, right? So I mean, really, at the end of the day, we try to have as many events as possible. So we'll always have something in the works, and. One of the big things I know for me personally, one of the big things is also getting that conversation of just new homes altogether. So maybe stepping outside of the Cronkite Homes realm and just saying like Southwest Missouri in general.
Yeah.
I know with my position on the ALC, one of my goals is to get more of our builders, more of our agents who are servicing builders together, having some masterminds to talk about what that means.